So I've decided to make a video of my scary Jack-in-the-Box that I'm making. I've never made a video before, so you guys are gonna have to forgive me. And I didn't think to start the video at the beginning, and so I'm kind of picking up where I am now. So I want to make a scary Jack-in-the-Box prop for Halloween. Basically, Halloween's our favorite holiday. My kids really get into it, and so I didn't see any videos on YouTube or Pinterest, ideas to inspire this. So it's pretty much all from my demented mind. So to start off, my kids picked this up at a garage sale. I have photos of before, and I'll put that in the video. So essentially, it's just Curious George music box. You turn the crank and he pops out. He does work, which kind of was important because I wanted it to work as a Halloween prop. So also I needed a doll because this is not very scary. So I went to the thrift store and I have a pile of dolls here. Pretty much just started off with one that looks just like this. Watched some YouTube videos for how to make them creepy, and also here we are with the new, this is going to be my baby doll for the box. Before I painted her, I made sure that her head, the diameter of her neck actually does, her head comes off and she fits perfectly on top of George's head. She also fits down in the box when you push her down in there, and so essentially she will still work as a prop. So the only thing I'm worried about are the arms, because I went ahead and painted her arms. I'm going to saw them off here somewhere around the elbow and glue them onto George's hands. I just don't know if they're going to fit in the box with George and the big head that she has. So at this point, the only thing I've done to her is put 2 coats of black paint. I'm using the acrylic paints here. You can get it at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or Michael's. Just did black and made care not to paint her eyeballs. I really like the fact that she's got these brilliant blue eyes, and I kind of wanted to keep that for the prop. So to get me to this point, basically what I did was decided on my pattern for the box. Now the box is actually embossed. If you see, there's Curious George on that side. Over here there's another monkey, and because they're embossed, I didn't want that to show in my prop, and so I had to come up with an idea to get rid of that. So I decided on my pattern. I wanted the triangles. I'm going to paint them probably red and yellow, and then kind of make it, wash it with a dark wash to kind of make it look grungy. So to do the triangle template, I basically went online and I found some shapes that I thought might work. Kind of a trial and error process. I enlarged them and printed them off until I got to one that would actually fit. I used the kite here for my template. So this is essentially my little template, and if you look at, it's basically that cut out, right? And then because we're in quarantine and there's lots of these boxes coming in the mail every day, I just basically took one of my Amazon boxes and I cut it up. I laid my little triangle on there, used a black Sharpie, traced around it, basically went back and forth, and I cut out 16 of these squares to go all the way around on my box. I've hot glued them to the tin, and I went ahead and did one on the back side, just a little square. Just, it wasn't embossed on the top, but I kind of wanted it to have something for decoration. So now we're ready for decoupage, and I'm going to use a matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to take paper towels and decoupage them over the top of my tin and my cardboard, in hopes that George no longer shows up. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. Our decoupage box is dry. My husband got tired of videoing, so I did not get a full video of the entire thing, but you can see that basically here at the top, I wrapped the paper towel around over the top edge all the way around, and just used the decoupage glue to kind of smooth it down and make it stay. On the sides I used bits and pieces of paper towel. Note for success, do not use straight edges on your paper towels. If there is a straight edge, I would go ahead and just tear it off and make it frayed on the ends. I did in one spot on here, if I can find it, I used a flat edge of the paper towel, and I think it kind of shows a little bit. Well, now I can't find it. Anyway, for best results, I would definitely fray all of the edges of the paper towel. Be sure to smooth them down inside the lines of the cardboard as you are letting it dry. Again, on the bottom, I basically wrapped the paper towel around the bottom edges and used the Mod Podge to make sure that it stuck down, stayed down along underneath the edge. I did this in one sitting, and in hindsight probably shouldn't have, because it was a really difficult situation to try to get it to dry. I kept having to set it down, and then it would stick and I would tear my paper towel on the bottom. So I wouldn't recommend doing it all at one time. I don't have a lot of patience though, and then also on the top, I did a frayed edge on the paper towel, as you can see right here, no straight edges. That way when I start painting, it won't look, quite so perfect. We want it to kind of look creepy, and so I figured the frayed edges would definitely do better. So that is that, and I think now it's going to be time to prime the tin and paint everything my base color, and then we'll see from there. So initially when I started with my doll, I really didn't have any direction on how we were going to do this. The last thing you guys saw was just my black primed face and arms. So online I had watched a tutorial for dry brushing. This lady had basically taken a doll just like this, using the exact same paints I have, and she did a base coat with the black like I did, and then she dry brushed the highlights onto the doll. When I started trying to do that, my black paint started to come off. Oop! Hang on, baby. So I was very disappointed and a little bit disheartened, because I had to come up with a plan B. So I had one of these sponges laying around the house. Kind of funny right now. I just I cut my sponge. And what I did to get to this point, just to catch you guys up, because I cannot paint and hold the phone at the same time to make my video. Basically, I didn't buy a gray. I somehow forgot to buy gray. So at the store, I have a black and a white, right, from the store. So I started with 1 drop of black, and I used this little cup right here. You can see my test colors here. I started off with kind of a dark gray, this one right here. As I went around my baby doll, I lightened my sponge. So I just kept adding white paint to the cup here, and this is my initial brush I tried, by the way. My dry brush, it did not work out. So anyway, you can see my different variations of gray here, as I went from a darker one to a lighter one, using the same sponge. I did not rinse the sponge. I just basically added some white, mixed it up, and then dipped it, kind of wasted some of the paint off here on my cardboard, and then kind of went about tapping very gently all over my doll's body. Of course, this actually was a way to keep it from chipping off the black paint, which I'm going to have to figure out how to fix for the future. Okay, so I also went ahead and gave her a little bit of a red nose. I didn't make the red really obvious. I just kind of wanted it to be kind of blended in with the black on her face. So this is kind of her clown face, I guess, if you will. So we'll see what happens. I decided that she needed just a little bit of something else. So I went ahead and put some black, like crack marks on her face, around on her head. And I just basically used my black acrylic with a fine tipped paintbrush. It's not really easy to do because her head is very textured right through here. Some of the paint is makes it really hard to get those really fine lines, but I think all in all it looks okay. I also mixed a green paint to kind of give her a little more of a zombie look. I just thought that her white head was just too white. I don't have green. You can tell I don't paint very often, so I actually used a navy blue and a caramel, which is basically kind of a yellow color. Mixed these two together here in my little cup. Kind of got this weird mossy olive green. Again, took my sponge here, dipped it in my paint, smeared it some on my box, and then just basically kind of went to smudging all around her head. Basically, see, that's why you need a videographer. Anyway, basically gently tapping the sponge around on her head. So this is pretty much my end result. I did also add some cracks to her arms on both sides, as well as some green paint. So I like her a bit more now. I'm still not 100% sure that she's finished. We'll just have to kind of see how I feel about her in a little while. Okay, so here's a little update on my Jack-in-the-Box. Basically, I was really afraid that the acrylic paint that I'm using would not stick to the metal. Actually, the metal parts of the box that I did not cover with the paper towels on the Mod Podge. So I went ahead and used a 2-in-1, it's just Rust-Oleum paint and primer, bonds to plastic, metal, wood, pretty much everything. Figured I was pretty safe using this just to give it kind of a light coat so that I could paint the acrylic over the top of the metal. So anyways, this is just a flat black Rust-Oleum. So then, as you can see, I got a little ahead of myself. I went ahead and decided that I was going to use the yellow and the red for my colors on the panels. So what I did was I took this acrylic, just plain acrylic like you get at the craft store or Walmart, and I used burgundy for this one. I have 1 cup with my paint, and the other cup is just water. So what I've kind of done is made basically a wash by thinning the paint. The cool thing about the decoupage is that the paper towels are actually absorbing the paint at different rates, and so when you use the thinned out paint and you kind of just wash it on, it kind of automatically starts to look, you know, some areas are darker than others. The black is definitely kind of seeping through, which I think kind of adds to the creepiness of the box, really without having to do much effort at all. So I'm in the process now of continuing the box. You can see I've got all the yellow, and right now we're just working on the red. So I went ahead and finished the yellow and the red as per the last video that I have on this, except that whenever I went back and looked at the box after the fact, I didn't like how the top portion here around the edges, I had not previously, so right here on the top, this edge, and on the inside here, I didn't have that decoupaged with paper towels, and so the metal was actually really it was really smooth. It just didn't have any texture to it. I didn't like the way it looked, and I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and so it bothered me enough to go back last night and add paper towel decoupage to the top edges right here along this edge, and then also on my lid right here. So I didn't video that. It's kind of hindsight's 2020. I should have done it to begin with. I didn't. I don't recommend that you leave it flat or smooth, because it just kind of took away from the look of the box. So after I after I decoupaged the paper towel onto it, then of course I had to paint it black. We were past the spray painting phase, so I just took my black acrylic paint, made a quick coat of that along the top edges all the way around. And then this morning I once again made my thin wash. This was the original paint. This was the water I just added to the paint to thin it out, so that I could pretty much just kind of wash the red onto the black. I don't believe I ever mentioned before, but the yellow that I used is actually called caramel. It's kind of a yellow ochre looking color, not super bright yellow. And then also onto the yellow last night, if you look and see, it has a little bit of a gold sheen to it, only on the yellow parts. I kind of just wanted to give it a little bit of highlight, some accent. So what I did was took the gold metallic paint. This one is the Folk Art pure gold, and I used my finger. I took some paint and basically just, you know, squeezed it out on a piece of cardboard, and then took my finger and I rubbed it into the paint, and then got most of it off my finger with a paper towel, and then gently just kind of smoothed the gold over the top of the yellow, just to kind of give it a little bit of that highlight. So I'm pretty much finished with this part. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I absolutely love it. I don't think that you can see the monkeys anymore, the embossed Curious George characters. I mean, I know where he was, but no one else would look at it and say, oh, there's a monkey. So I'm gonna just pop it open. I did leave this part here smooth. I did not decoupage the inside, nor did I decoupage the inside of the lid. Hopefully when I lacquer the box and spray paint all of this, this won't continue to kind of flake off or chip off. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so that is my, for the most part, completed box. Okay, so at this point I have taken my doll and used my Dremel tool to saw her arms off. This is what the doll looks like now. So this is just basically going to be garbage. The head's been removed and is firmly seated on top of Curious George. And then I glued his hands into the inside of the plastic doll arms, just using hot glue. So done that on both sides, and I got ahead of myself again because I'm already putting the dress on, and then thought, oh my gosh, I forgot to video. So arms are securely attached. They're not coming off. So the dress, I actually found this dress at a resale shop on another doll, and of course it looks old and tattered already. It's kind of a thin see-through material, which is okay because Curious George's body is brown. I would not have been able to do this if his body hadn't already been a dark color. So I've glued the lace here around the neck and the front. I kind of started there, and I'm moving around the side with my hot glue. I'm basically just taking a bead or a thin line of hot glue and placing it right at the base of the neck, and then attaching the fabric to that. So when I'm finished here, I'm going to pull his, or her, I guess at this point it would be a girl, I'm going to pull her arms through the armholes on the dress. And then because the dress is just a little bit too big for her, I'm actually going to probably go ahead and hot glue the sleeve up onto her wrist so that you can see her arm better. You know, I don't want it to be so big like that. So I'm gonna keep working, and I'll pick up here in a few minutes. And there she is. I am finished with my Jack-in-the-Box. So what I ended up doing was, after I put the neck on with the dress was too big, obviously, and so I created a seam down the back with my hot glue and then clipped off the excess dress that was on the outside. I left what was on the inside. It's not that big of a deal. So then also on the sleeves, I thought they were too big as well. So I created a new seam using hot glue. I turned the sleeve inside out and just basically applied a thin line of hot glue, let it set. Because the fabric is sheer, it went through to both sides. Turn the sleeve right side out again, and now it is much smaller. I did not cut the excess fabric off. I just left it inside there. You can kind of see it inside the sleeve. I don't think it looks bad. And then, of course, like I said before, I did actually put some hot glue on the top of her arm, and then I used the seam of the lace to adhere it to her arm so that the sleeves don't ride up on her arm. And then after that, I cut some of the excess fabric off on the bottom of the dress. Be careful not to cut too much. I did in one spot in the back, but I was able to fix it. You want to kind of leave enough so that it's bunched here in the front a little bit. Not too much. I didn't want too much excess fabric. But then what I did was I moved the George out of the way, put a bead of hot glue down in the crack down there, and then very carefully, because the glue is hot, burned myself several times, took the end of the dress and just tucked it down, kind of curling it under as I went so that I could have this nice little poof, kind of a little balloon poof at the bottom. So did that all the way around, and I think the back side is probably not as eye-appealing as the front, but that's okay because it's the back. It's not really going to show. So, plus I think I'm going to leave the lid up like this. So the box, while it does still work, makes music, she no longer fits down inside there because of her arms. When it was just the head did fit. The arms are a little bit too much bulk. Can't put her back in the box again, but that's okay because I still love it. I think it's going to make a great prop just to kind of set out on a shelf at Halloween. I love the way the decoupage turned out. The red over the black, the gold over the yellow. I think it's pretty amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy making your own Jack-in-the-Boxes. Please leave me some photos and let me know what you guys come up with. I would be interested to see your Jack-in-the-Boxes as well. Thanks.